States' interests and not a good idea in terms of the stability of the United States and the Russians.
But at least it doesn't work, so it's...
Thank you, George. That there is that silver lining, I suppose, if you like cars that don't run. There was a question here in the front row. Yes.
My name is Rohit Tripathi, and I am from a group called Young India. One perspective that I find, and before I say that, I want to congratulate Dr. Ambegankar to put together a panel of 5 people. Okay. I think I agree with 2.5 people on the panel, and I disagree with 2.5 people on the panel. So I think that shows to me it's a great panel. And you'll be a little surprised to hear from me that I agree with the people who oppose the deal. I felt that the panel was missing a people's perspective from India. With all due respect to Dr. Arunachalam and due deference to his service to India, the technocracy, especially the technocrats in the DEA, the Department of Atomic Energy, have served India rather poorly when it comes to civilian technology. You don't have to go too far to see that. If you look at the human development indices, India ranks 127th. So for all the hoopla over the nuclear weapons development and all that stuff, for the people of India, 72% of that population that still lives in the villages, there's very little to show. Really a very abysmal and dismal performance by the scientific community in India, given the fact that Gandhi once said that science without humanity is a sin. So in that backdrop, not much has been done. And suddenly with this deal coming through, there is this theory being presented that suddenly this department that hasn't done much in civilian technology development is suddenly going to do a whole lot in the next 10 years and suddenly go from 2,000 megawatts to 20,000 megawatts in the next 10 years is ludicrous. It really is. I mean, this is the same kind of technocratic delusion that has failed the people of India over and over and over again. And I really don't see, from a pure scientific basis, why this is not going to change. I agree with Dr. Perkovich that what we really need is incremental steps that do address the energy crisis in India, and that is where we need to go forward. I with due respect disagree with Dr. Arunachalam that we just suddenly need to launch into these big programs. And what I wanted to share with you guys was that this is a perspective that people need to address and listen to, because in the end, what all we do over here is going to be, academic. In the end, the people of India, as they showed you in 2004, if they don't like anything, any deal, any policy, they're going to respond. So I hope we keep their attitudes and their aspirations in mind when we move forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor.
I think I would like to answer a couple of things, nothing like an argumentative Indian from the audience. Amartya Sen forgive. Number one, you just have to look, what was the caloric intake of an average Indian living in 70% of the villages 10 years back, what he is today? What is the longevity of an average Indian 10 years back today? What is the infant mortality 10 years back today? We could have done far more. There is no question. India had let down opportunities where we could have done far more. But none of us expected India would be where it is today 10 years back. After all, the Americans said at that time that India was too crippled a nation before the Green Revolution. They should allow people to die for the starvation to get into the stability. And the other thing about this 24,000 megawatts that I talked about, atomic energy will have no role to play. It will be the private corporations that start putting in. The villagers see not the nuclear power, the villagers don't see the neutrons, the villagers see the electric power that runs the motor. 95% of the Indian villages are electrified today, but they don't have the adequate power. So when you talk about power, you see, the nuclear is to me an enabler. I don't care whether the George says if a power comes through the windmill, let the power come through the windmill. Let the power come through the renewables. Every source is an important source for us to meet this requirement.
Right back there, the yellow shirt.